very much to one of the most hardworking men I've met. Good afternoon, or is it evening now? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, and good afternoon to my fellow speakers on the high table. My name is Loretta Oduware Ogboro-Okor, and I come from a state where we say that we share the term kingdom with the United Kingdom, Edo State. That's where you have the second kingdom in this world. And what pains me the most is that sometimes I have to take my daughter to the British Museum to see our own heritage as a people. But I have come to England and I have been a first generation migrant. And every day I give my best and my all to England, which is now my host country. I still remember what is happening in my own home nation, which is the source country for all forms of, would I call it labor in quotes, and even to a large extent, contemporary slavery. Because if you are here as a doctor, as a barrister, as a journalist, there is still that thing that happens, and you know that somewhere someone is placing a glass. Do we want to abandon our home on the altar of our host nations? Or do we want to get our host nations galvanized so that they take the reins and actually help us fix our home nations? With that, I'm going to say a big well done to all those who have organized this conference today. I want to thank people who have traveled from afar and come here to come and actually amplify the voices of Nigerians. Has it crossed our minds that in every population there is a critical mass? That critical mass is very, very minuscule. That critical mass is tiny. Today, we have the critical mass of Nigeria in this room. And importantly, the critical mass drives the majority. So I'm telling us today that our 200 million strong population is actually depending on us to amplify their voices and let the world know what we know, what has happened. I've been asked to speak in this conference today about Nigeria's democracy being on trial. And specifically, I was told to speak of Nigeria in the Labourroom. The world is watching. I don't know if the organizers chose that term because they know I'm a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist, or whether they just, were led by the Spirit. But I'll try and do justice. In my experience as an obstetrician and gynecologist, pregnancy and labor are processes. However, they are processes that are physiological and processes that are manned by nature in a way that nature does not want anything to go wrong. That's the truth. Nature wants to achieve a decent pregnancy and a delivery where mother and child is alive and well. That's nature. And people look forward to pregnancy and labor with great expectations. However, since gaining our own independence in 1960 from the British, Nigeria has been pregnant. We've been pregnant with potentials and with promises. We've been pregnant with ideas. We've been pregnant with all the good things in our mind. But we've had an inertia to go into labor and birth and deliver these pregnancies. Through military coups and successive governments, we have underperformed. And all of these hydra-headed challenges have made our country to become one in a gestational state of growth restriction. However, enter 2023. And in 2023, what happened? Nigeria went into labor with the presidential election on February the 25th. It was a unique time in the history of our beloved country. For the second time in Nigeria's history, citizens were not seeing religious divide. Citizens were not seeing ethnic divide. Citizens were not seeing age divide. Citizens were united by a common front. Nigerians took their destinies in their own hands and we headed to the polls. The distinctive characteristics of 2023 is well documented in databases that are public. There was a swelling of all our registered voters. There was increased engagement. And even when I went to the polling units, I saw my countrymen. I saw my countrywomen. What happened? They came with their water bottles. They came with their chargers. They came with musical instruments. They were determined to stay there and see the end of the counting. They believed in ILEC. Nigerians had come to a realization of what my father had always told me when I was growing up. That it is only Nigerians that can change Nigeria for Nigerians. Yes. We may have the help of other people. We may have them aid us, but we must overcome that inertia. We are in labor. We must bet our democracy. Yes. And Nigerians did not shy away from this. The world waited. The world looked. We looked forward to the betting and delivery of our true democracy with great expectations. Africa held her breath as the words of Nelson Mandela echoed in our hearts, that the world will not respect Africa until Nigeria earns respect. The black people of the world need Nigeria to be great as a source of pride and confidence. But what happened? Alas, there was a midwife in this labor process. The process was supposed to be midwifed by an independent body, as their name is called, the Independent National Electoral Commission. However, this very same midwife scuttled the delivery of true democracy and created what we call in obstetrics and gynecology an obstruction in the labor process. The labor process had come to a halt due to no fault of the mother, in this case, Nigeria. Nor was the child not ready to be betted. But somebody had put in an obstruction somewhere. Going by the results of many Nigerians like me and my sister here and everybody on this table, and many of the Nigerians who are watching everywhere in the world today, and those of us who were in the field, electoral materials were coming at 2 p.m. Egbon said it. Dele Farotimi. I was there. In my polling booth, it came at about 1:30. Every step of the way, an obstacle was put to scuttle Nigerians. And then the promises of ILEC, they came to naught. The portals for announcing results, transmission of results, all of them came to naught. A constitutional crisis has arisen just from the fact that the midwife in this whole process has decided not to entertain value for Nigerian lives. However, the bet of a new Nigeria is what will see the obedient movement and the things that have been happening. It may be stalled, there may be an obstruction, but it cannot be aborted. No way. The beginning of this new Nigeria is only being delayed. And today we look to the Nigerian judiciary to continue the midwifery process. They have now taken it away from those who were supposed to be independent, who were fully dependent. What they were dependent on, you can guess. A new Nigeria is going to arise. And today we are saying to the international community that they have a role to play. Some of us may disagree proper services even in these countries. They will help us to magnify what it means for Nigerians to bet true democracy. They cannot be ostriches burying their necks in the sand in this process. The kind of true democracy that played itself out in December in this country. Our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, was wishing this country Merry Christmas. And somebody pointed it out that he was not wearing his silk belt. The Constitution swung into action. Rishi Sunak was fined and Rishi Sunak paid the fine. Yes, that's correct. That is constitutional work. So why should we turn a blind eye? And I tweeted right back to my Prime Minister when he congratulated current government select. I told him, we in Nigeria are pushing to have this kind of democracy where your people will tell you that, Prime Minister, you have breached the law. You apologize and you pay the fine. You brought us democracy. You must help us see to a logical conclusion. You cannot turn your face to the current constitutional crisis going on in Nigeria. The 200 million strong population of Nigeria are asking what has happened to the birthing of our mandate. And those of us who are going for sub-national government roles in Nigeria, the next dispensation in our states, are asking, if this can happen at the presidential level, what hope do we have at the grassroots? To bet a new Nigeria into existence, the judiciary, we must look at the example where we find that there's the existence of the judiciary, there's the existence of the armed forces. And we should use these precedents because these bodies exist governed by our constitution. These bodies are vetted, not subject to constitutional interpretation. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody watching, the election of the president cannot be subject to interpretation either, but must strictly be provided for by the law as it is interpreted in our constitution. So, the Labourroom is being keenly watched by the whole world. This Labourroom of Nigeria and our judiciary, who has taken over the battle to resolve the current constitutional crisis, are being watched. They have to indeed rise up to this occasion. And the Western world, who plays host to most of Nigeria's migrant population, either legal or illegal migration as the case may be, will have a lot to lose if Nigerians are displaced, if Nigerians are not mentally stable. So they must build their searchlight on this constitutional process resolution that is going on by our judiciary. I will modify the words of JFK and say, he did tell us, he said, democracy is not perfect and freedom has got its difficulties. But all this same, we've never had to put up a wall to keep our people in. We are not going to put up a wall to keep in the betting process and the delivery of Nigeria's democracy. It may look like chaos right now. It may look like there's confusion, but out there to everybody, I'm going to say, keep hope alive. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And I'm going to leave us by explaining the story of the phoenix. The phoenix is a bird that rises out of chaos, mythology has it, and rises stronger than when the chaos started. It rises right out of the fire. The current fire we are having in Nigeria's Labourroom is actually distilling Nigeria. And like the phoenix, this idea whose time has come is going to be better and it's going to rise up from all of these things. Thank you very much.